You're talking to your own higher mind right now. It's just that we are happy to function as a mask, as a filter, in a sense, as a flavor for you to let it be all right to talk to your own higher mind through us. But you're actually speaking with your own higher mind right now.
Yes, I actually had that experience last night. I realized I was talking to my higher self.
Yes,
Yeah.
well, there you go.
Okay.
Well, you still are.
Okay, the problem that I'm here to ask you about.
You mean a challenge?
Oh, yeah, a big challenge is...
All right, big challenge, but a big challenge doesn't mean it has to be defined as a problem. That's what we're saying.
Well, it's a struggle.
That's all right, it doesn't have to be.
I wish I could choose it not to be, but...
You can choose it not to be.
It's easier said than done.
That's a belief.
Okay, can I just ask my question?
Yes, you can.
I'm just curious if you could remember back to when your people, your species went through this change that we're going through, how you lived your life at the same time. I'm finding a lot of pain involved in letting go of old concepts.
The only reason you would have pain in letting go of old concepts is you don't believe that you need to let them go. You believe they're serving you still. Remember, you hold on to nothing that you don't actually believe is somehow serving you. No matter how painful they may be to hold on to, what you're actually saying is the alternative is worse.
How do I get to the bottom of how it's serving me?
Very good question. And here's how you can do it, at least one way. The idea is to understand what we have called the motivational mechanism. Again, please understand, this is automatic for everyone. There is absolutely nothing you really need to do to make this work. It's already working. You just have to allow yourself to understand how it works so that you can use it in a way that you prefer to, instead of using the mechanism in a way that you don't prefer. You follow me so far?
Yes.
All right. The motivational mechanism is simply this. And I mean there are no exceptions to this. Not even you. You follow me?
Yes.
All right. You will always, immediately, automatically move in the direction of what you believe to be in your best interests. You will always immediately and automatically move away from what you believe is not in your best interest. Knowing that should tell you something. If you are holding on to something that you know intellectually is not in your best interests, and you understand the motivational mechanism I just described, the only way that could stick around is if you have defined it in the motivational mechanism as actually being in your best interest more than the alternative. Or vice versa, you have defined the thing that you say you prefer as actually somehow being more scary, more fearful than the thing you don't prefer. And so you're so afraid of the thing you do prefer for some reason, based on some belief you're holding on to, that you're willing to put up with the pain and struggle of the thing you don't prefer just because it's more familiar. Just because it feels safer, because you're so much more scared of the thing you don't know about. And Does this make some sense?
Oh, yeah, I've heard this many times from you. But
it's not sinking in.
I can't figure it out. How do I move forward? I want to move forward so bad.
Well, you have to find out what it is you're holding on to. You've heard us give the example of the idea of how people on your planet are raised with different definitions of money.
Yes.
Can you apply that idea to yourself at all about the contradictory beliefs that you are raised with that create conflict within you until such time as you actually consciously identify those beliefs? Because only by consciously identifying them can you let them go. If you don't know what they are, you have nothing to work with.
I know what my beliefs are. I guess I feel like I'm swimming upstream.
I don't care what you feel like. I understand what you feel like. But again, remember, the feeling only comes because you believe something to be true. You can't have a feeling without believing something to be true first. So if you have a feeling you're swimming upstream, you have got to be defining something in your life in that way. You yourself said it a moment ago. Easier said than done. These are just belief systems. They're not empirical truths. There is absolutely nothing about the phrase, easier said than done, that is an absolute law of creation. It's you that is giving it solidity, by believing in that idea. You're the one giving it form. You're the one giving it shape for some reason. Find out what the reason is why you are buying into those kinds of limiting ideas that produce struggle, strife, pain. Remember, pain is resistance to the natural self. So what is it about being your true natural self? What is it about the thing you prefer to be that is so much scarier than what you're already holding on to that you don't prefer? What would be the worst, most terrifying thing you can imagine would happen if you actually let go of all of these fears and negative definitions and actually allowed yourself to be who you preferred to be? What would be the scariest thing that you imagine might happen if you did that?
Yeah, I wouldn't know who I am anymore.
Now, all right, very good.
Yeah.
Now, why would you assume that to be true?
Because I define myself from my experiences and all the people around me. And if I move on to a whole different belief system,
Yes.
I'll kind of be out there by myself.
Well, may I ask you a question?
Yes, please.
Haven't you ever moved from one belief system to another ever in your life?
Yes.
Well, was that a problem for you?
Well, it was, but when I got there, I was okay.
So what makes you think it's not going to be okay again? How many examples of doing that do you need before you get the point that it's always okay?
Okay.
How many times do you have to give yourself that symbol, that reflection, before you know it will actually always be okay? How many times? It's up to you. I'm not pushing you. How many times have you already done it?
Innumerable, and it's been very painful. So maybe I'm getting from you, if I just kind of let go with it, the pain will kind of go away too.
It will not kind of go away.
It will.
It won't exist in the reality of the person that you actually prefer to be, because by definition, that person doesn't experience pain and struggle and resistance.
Okay.
You see, you have to watch your definitions. You have a definition that says, if I become who I prefer to be, there's something about that that's going to be painful. But if you actually listen to what you just said, you would realize that that's nonsensical. How could becoming who you prefer to be contain a definition of being something that is not what you prefer?
Yes.
You understand?
Yes.
Your definitions are muddled. That's where you're having the difficulty. You're not listening to the definitions you're actually using to define who it is you prefer. You're creating your own contradictory definitions about who that person is. If that really is the you prefer to be, it cannot, by definition, contain the elements of negativity that you're describing. Otherwise, it can't be that you. It wouldn't be that you. It would make no sense. So what you're defining is someone that isn't who you prefer to be. But when you define clearly who it is you do prefer to be, and you allow yourself to be that person, it will not contain anything that is irrelevant for that particular person. Your life is negative.
And I don't want to live in that other world emotionally
Then
anymore.
don't.
Okay, how?
Again, when you say real life,
Which means going to work and all that.
so
business,
what?
yeah.
Does that just mean that you're not doing what you love to do?
No, I like it, but it's so different. It has a different feel to it, you know?
Then you're not doing what you love to do.
I mean, I'm really happy that I go to work. I'm like, I like my job, but I just feel
Do
so
you
unhappy.
do what you love to do or not? Yes
I know you've
or
had this
no?
conversation a lot. Okay, I used to really love it then. Okay.
Is there something else you would rather be doing?
I'd like to be retired, yeah, and pursue this kind of life all the time where I'm just happy.
Well, why not do that?
That's the hard part, I guess. Okay.
Why are you saying that's hard? You're the one making it harder.
Yeah, you're right.
There is nothing empirically true that what it is you prefer to do has to be hard in the way that you mean it. Yes, of course, there will always be some challenge. Yes, of course, you might have to actually take some actions and do things. But if it's truly a labor of love, it won't feel like a labor. It will be a joy.
Okay. But
Are you picking up on this?
very much so. And I just got, do you understand
When
how...
you say very much so,
So.
unless you actually exhibit the behavior that goes along with it, it's not very much so. Remember, action and knowing are synonymous. So if you're not actually acting like it, you don't know it yet. Do you have a small object, coin, pen, anything at all that you can put in your hand, piece of jewelry?
Yes, I have one now.
Put it on the floor. Did you do it?
Yes.
Pick it up. Did you do it?
Yes.
Action and knowing are synonymous. What you know you can do, you just do. You don't think about it. You didn't go, I believe I can pick it up. I think I can pick it up. I'm not sure. Might be hard to bend over and pick that up. Not necessarily as easy as it sounds, perhaps. Oh, let me think about all the different things that could happen between here and picking it up. You didn't do any of that. You just picked it up because you innately knew in every fiber of your being that you could. Action and knowing are synonymous. So when you say, oh, yes, I get it, but you're not doing it, you don't get it. You don't know it yet. So when you act like you know it, you will know it. And when you know it, you will act like you know it. Is this making some sense?
Perfect. I totally understand it. Can I just
Do
say
you?
one more thing? I do, but moving away from all the people I work with, my family, all my friends.
So what?
And was that easy for you to do when you had to do it?
I never had to do it.
But your kind went through this progression, right?
Not as much as your society, no.
Ah, okay.
But we understand the concept and have incarnations in realities, such as yours, that do go through those things, which is what gives us the understanding of those concepts. Otherwise, it would be too alien to us. Nevertheless, the idea is that when we allow ourselves to know that everything is neutral and doesn't have built-in meaning, and we supply the meaning that we prefer, we always get the effect that we prefer regardless of what's going on around us. So when we know that the things and opportunities that are presented to us in our lives are always there, always, without exception there, for us to put a positive meaning into them and get a positive effect out of, because that's our choice, then we know that that's all we will experience. And therefore, what hesitation would we ever have to move forward when we know that everything we will ever do, no matter how challenging, will always only be experienced in a positive and joyful way, because that's our choice.
And even this day, I mean, I knew I wasn't going to come here, and I woke up and I said, I have to go see Bashar because I'm going to get called. I'm going to get this opportunity. And
well,
I did.
There you go.
And I was like, I wasn't even surprised, but no one who I know would understand that way of thinking. And I
do
see
you
them
understand this way of thinking?
Do I know it?
Now you can't say that anymore.
I see everyone suffering around me, and I can't help them.
So what?
Just let them.
You understand this very importantly. By staying in your fear, you're not helping them. By moving into your joy is the only way you can help them, because you're giving them an example to let them know they could choose to live in their joy too. But if you don't live in your joy, you never give them the chance to see that it can be done.
Thank you. That really helps me.
At this time, we would like to begin, first of all, by recounting and illuminating the idea of how the polyhedron structures that you are exploring can be utilized in a variety of ways to enhance and increase and expand your understanding and your ability to connect to other dimensional realms of information within and without you. First of all, let us do what you would call in your language a recap of what you are familiar with as the regular polyhedral structures. First of all, you will find that there are actually, in total, of those we will discuss this day of your time, 9. There will be 6 that will be physiological. There will be 3 that will be higher dimensional. Now, more often than not, you will hear on your planet of the 5 regular solids, specifically meaning what you refer to as the 5 platonic solids, again, specifically meaning that they are associated their recognition, in a sense, their quote-unquote discovery, is associated with the entity that you call on your planet Plato. But there are actually 6 regular solids, one of which was not known to Plato, but has since been recognized by your civilization. Let us begin with the 6 physiological regular polyhedron. Number 1, if you already have it, mark it down, check it, make sure it is on your list. The tetrahedron, being in a sense a 4-sided structure, or not counting the base, a 3-sided pyramid, but including the base, 4 sides, each side being an equilateral triangle. This you have, yes? All right. Next, what you call the cube. 6 sides, each of which is a square. This you have, yes? Yes. All right. The next being the equilateral octahedron. 8 sides, in a sense, that you would recognize as, again, equilateral triangles. The equilateral octahedron. This you have, yes? Yes. This would be like unto what you would call 2 4-sided pyramids stuck together at the square base. You follow? Yes. All right. Next, you usually count the concept of what you would call the dodecahedron. Yes? Yes. But do you have 2 dodecahedrons? Or 1? There is 2. There is the pentagonal dodecahedron, made of 12 pentagons. There is the rhomboid dodecahedron, made of 12 rhombus shapes, which are diamond shapes. So there are 2 12-faced polyhedron, 2 types of dodecahedron. You follow? Yes. All right. You can experiment, and we will get to this in a moment, with constructing the rhomboid dodecahedron. We will explain how to construct such a figure in a bit. All right? Yes. All right. Moving on to the final 6th regular polyhedral structure, you have the 20-sided figure, 20 triangles, equilateral triangles, that you call the icosahedron. You follow? Yes, yes? Yes. All right, thank you, thank you. Want to make sure there is someone on the other end of this transmission. Is this true?
That we don't know what you're talking about?
Yes.
Some more than others.
All
Yes,
right.
true.
Have you not, up to this point, explored the idea of the regular polyhedral solids? Yes?
We've been concentrating on the tesseract tonight.
All right. That is number 8.
Okay.
But first, number 7. And now we enter the dimension of higher realms. What you have now is what we call the tetragrammaton, which is like a tetrahedron in that it appears to be a 4-sided figure made of 4 regular triangles, in that sense, equilateral. But unlike the typical regular tetrahedron, you can now understand that each of the triangular faces, each of the 4, is actually the base of another whole tetrahedron pointing inwards inside the structure, as if each face were a completely separate tetrahedron contained within the overall outside tetrahedron. This is because each face is actually the side of an interdimensional tetrahedron, and they all overlap. All of them overlap. So what you have here is, again, a 20-sided figure, in that you have the overall tetrahedron, the outside one with 4, and then you have 4 of 4. 16 and 4 is 20. You have another 20-sided figure, but it is 20-sided in another dimension, not in your dimension. It only is, in a sense, 4-sided in your dimension. The next, the 7th, is the tesseract. That is the cube, or the hypercube, as you may call it. Again, the same principle applies. And this is that each square face is the side of a completely different cube. So you have, in a sense, 7 cubes, a whole cube outside, and each face represents another completely different cube, making another 6, and therefore you have 42 faces in this particular polyhedral structure, but again, most of them are in another dimension. Again, it would be like you have a cube, and you can imagine that you can step into any face and be inside the cube as if it were simply a hollow structure. But that is what would happen in your normal 3-dimensional cube. You would simply step through one of the faces and be inside the same cube. In the hypercube, in the tesseract, any face you step through would actually put you into a cube separate from any other cube you step through any other face to enter. Each face is the side of a completely different cube. They are all intersecting, but they do not interact. They do not meet. If you step through one face, you are in cube number 1. If you step through another face, you're in cube number 2. And the things that are contained inside cube number 1, if anything at all, will not appear inside cube number 2 when you step through face number 2. This is the whole concept of higher dimensional polyhedral physics. The final, in that sense, is really simply what you recognize as a sphere. For in that sense, it is unidirectional. You have this, in a sense, even in your own reality, and it can said to be the idea of the 0 point, even before the tetrahedron in physical terms, for when you step in a sphere is the same in all directions. This is the same in the higher dimensions as well. Again, however, when you step into the hypersphere, you now have an infinite array of possible realities that you could experience, because each point on the surface of the sphere is really a completely different sphere. So while in the physical reality, the sphere being the 0, not the 1, will simply be that you step into a ball and it is the same ball. In the higher dimensions, the sphere will be an infinite array of realities, an infinite array of spheres contained within the same sphere. So you have the 0 and infinity at either end of the spectrum of the interim 8, or an octave of polyhedra. Are you following along so far? All right. Close enough. Now, so the progression in terms of the sides, in terms of the faces, that is, will be, starting with the physical sphere, 0, and then you will have the tetrahedron for 4, then you will have the cube for 6, then you will have the equilateral octahedron for 8, then you will have 2 dodecahedrons, 2 12-faced figures, then you will have the icosahedron for 20, then you will have the tetragrammaton for 20, again forming the bridge connector from physical to non-physical reality with the same number of faces inward that the icosahedron has outward. Then you will have the idea of the tesseract or the hypercube for 42, and then you will have the hypersphere for infinity. So this is the count. Then, as you have it, 0 to the idea then of 4, and then 6, and then 8, and then 12, 12, and then 20, 20, and then 42, and then infinity. Now, the idea herein is to understand that these forms are some of the most basic structures in what you call nature, physical reality. They are some of the underlying templates, or if you wish, building blocks for how things arrange themselves in physical reality. And what this means is arrange themselves not only atomically, even subatomically, but also on a larger scale, a macrocosmic scale. Even relationships of energy follow these patterns in general. This is not to say there are not other patterns, but when we are talking about the regular ones, that is, ones that have faces that are equal to every other face, these form the basic skeleton of the underlying template of how things are arranged or the relationships that exist throughout many different dimensions that are all connected to your particular universal reality, physical and etheric, and in that sense, the hyperdimensional connections as well. But we will concentrate and focus on what will be most applicable to your reality, since, of course, that happens to be where you're focused at the moment. So, let us begin by understanding that one of the ways, and it is only one, of the ways to use these forms is, whether you do this in your own imaginations, in your mind's eye, so to speak, or whether you create some kind of media format in which to view this occurring, will not really matter as long as simultaneously to any assistive tool you may be using outside, you also will allow this to be going on in your imagination at the same time. When you can begin to imagine or visualize these forms inside your mind, inside your imagination, when you can see them in your mind's eye, dimensionally, and you can begin to move them, to turn them, to spin them, to rotate them in your mind, you will find that they actually have the capability of making changes within you. First of all, they will make energetic changes. Secondly, they will actually instill neurological changes. Thirdly, they can even instill physiological changes within you. They are like skeleton keys. And when you can hold the form in energy strongly and begin to associate with it strongly and begin to move it in space and time, then it will move you in space and time. You will go along with it. It will carry you, in a sense, into different orientations, different perspectives, allow you to perceive and access different dimensional perspectives of information or reality. So these are the keys turning in the locks. And as you become more proficient at turning them, then you will find you will be able to open more locks, open more doors, and begin to perceive through inspirational methods, through meditational methods, through artistic expressional methods, through many different creative methods. You will be able to perceive instant insights and perceptions of things you heretofore had not imagined. And you will find that you can also use these to take these new perspectives of information and figure out ways to apply this information, to adapt this information to your physical reality, to create new things, to have new ideas, to apply new methodologies, to create new results, new effects in your reality. This is the primary utilization that we will be discussing. There will be other utilizations that we can also perhaps touch on in this first preliminary discussion about the use of these regular polyhedra. But for now, in having laid this basic foundation, let us begin with your questions so that we can cover your specific focuses, your specific interests, and see how each and every one of these can be perhaps applied to the overall foundational understanding we have given, and how this foundational understanding can be expanded relative to your questions. And then, after we have gone through your questions and discussion thereof, we can, as you would say, wrap it up with some cohesive understanding and further explanation as to how to, as you would say in your language, get the most bang for your buck in the utilization of these very fundamental but very powerful tools of energy. So, let us begin, however you wish, with your questions.
So what we are talking about working on here today with the concept of flipping the switch and using the concept of your shifting through parallel realities to get a better bead on the idea, a more precise understanding of the idea of manifesting the parallel reality you prefer, is to focus on the idea of creating a greater degree of difference than you normally do, so that you will be able to feel the shift, to see the shift, to perceive the shift more viscerally, more concretely. And the idea, thus then, is to allow yourself the opportunity to let go of the definitions that you have been brought up to believe are necessary for the labeling and defining and designing of the parallel realities that you do already automatically experience, so that you can design, in a sense, the parallel reality that is more in alignment with the parallel realities or sequence of parallel realities that you prefer, that are more representative of your true nature, your true core frequency, your true natural self, your true vibration. Here's what you can begin to do. Just have an overall image, an overall representation of your life as it is. In whatever way that comes to you, just to paint a picture, like you're looking at a movie screen, if you wish, and just see up on that screen, see yourself, see an image of you, going about the things that you are already doing in life. Nothing different than what you're already doing. It can be anything on a day-to-day basis, this and that, big or small, doesn't matter. Just see yourself as you are. Now, when you are ready, blank the screen, wipe the screen. Now, replace it with an image of yourself going about your day-to-day business in what you consider to be, for now, your preferred, desired, ideal reality, your ideal life. Fill that movie screen with your image and look at all the things, create all the things in it that are representative of what the things are you would be going about doing in your ideal life, your ideal reality. Some of them may be the same. Some of them may be different. Whatever it is, just take a look at it. Now, in your mind's eye, put those two screens side by side or one above the other. Look at one screen that represents your life as it is. Look at the other image on the other screen that represents your life as you would prefer it to be. Notice the differences. Notice the differences. Notice the similarities, but notice the differences. Whatever differences you noticed, from small to large, are the things that represent vibrationally, symbolically, representationally, that ideal life. Whatever symbol you conjured up represents vibrationally that preferred parallel reality, because that is a real, already existing parallel reality. And that version of you in that reality already exists as a real person in that universe, in that reality, which is a completely different reality than the screen that represents your life as it is right now. Again, allow yourself to remember the differences, but understand that these two realities coexist right now, simultaneously, interpenetrated, overlapping, only separated by the slightest difference in vibrational energy. Now, it may be a slight difference, but if the picture looks very different, then it is a difference that is enough of a difference in vibration that you are noticing the difference. And that's the key. Different enough that you notice the difference. Different enough so that it's not in your mind, as you are used to experiencing, a smooth continuity from one second to the next, but would be representative of some time passing in between. In other words, some of you might see the image of the life as it is now see the image of the life that you prefer, and you might automatically find yourself assuming that it would require some span of time in order for one to change to the other. The thing to understand is that it actually, in a sense, requires less time than you think, and in fact actually uses no time at all. When you decide, when you choose to actually be that person in that reality, it will happen instantaneously as a shift from whatever parallel reality you were experiencing a moment before that. But you can create the illusion of process, the illusion of time lag, the illusion of linear continuity to make it seem as if it's taking time to become or experience that reality. But that reality exists right now. So manifestation in this context is simply the degree to which you are willing to allow the definition, no matter how different it looks, to actually be real right now, to know that it exists right now, and most importantly, in this particular permission slip, to be willing to actually be that person in that representation right now. When you go back now and look at the two images you created, and if you see differences in them, one of the differences you will probably see is a difference in how you behave in the two realities. Many people on your planet, when they imagine themselves going through their day-to-day existence as it is now, and then imagine themselves going through their day-to-day existence in the reality they prefer, will suddenly realize there is a great degree of difference in your behavior, in your body language, in what you're wearing, in your attitude, in your energy. Look at the difference in you in those two images. It is important to understand the following. This principle is paramount here. You cannot experience what you are not already the vibration of. So the idea is, if you see that version of you in that preferred ideal reality doing certain things, the you are now is not capable of experiencing those things unless you actually start being the person in that image. If you don't behave like that person, dress like that person, talk like that person, walk like that person, think like that person, feel like that person, you will not experience the things that person is experiencing, because that is not just a different version of you. It is a different person, literally, entirely. And you, the greater you, as a consciousness, can shift between the person you're experiencing yourself to be now and the person that is represented in that ideal scenario. That you, the bigger you, the consciousness that you are, will be the same, but the person, the physical construct, the temporary personality that you consider yourself to be as a physical being will literally not be the same person, because you are not the same person from moment to moment to moment to moment. As we already said, billions and billions of times a second, you're actually becoming literally, quite literally, not metaphorically, quite literally, a new person billions of times a second. The idea again here is to pay attention consciously to the fact that you can design the person, design the reality to be different enough so that you can actually tell the difference, that it is really a different reality, a different you, a different universe. And that's what this exercise is designed to do, is look at the differences so that you can know that when you shift, you're shifting totally, utterly, totally, and instantaneously. There is no real time lag at all between becoming one reality and another, between experiencing yourself as one person and another. None whatsoever. But you can create this continuity, this illusion that there is, or you can start to let that go. Now, it will not let go entirely, of course, as long as you still have a reason to experience the physical reality idea at all. We are not talking about eliminating it completely, although from time to time, as you do these kinds of exercises, as you gain this kind of insight and this kind of knowledge, you may find space and time becoming a little more slippery. You may find things happening very rapidly, maybe sometimes even instantaneously here and there. This will be somewhat sporadic, but it can accelerate. Nevertheless, you will still retain some sense of space-time in order to have a context in which to experience the idea you call physical reality, but you can allow your experience of it to become something far more different than what you're experiencing now, accelerate it far more rapidly than what you're experiencing now. Again, not literally accelerating it. When I say accelerate it, I mean experience as if you were accelerating, because you're already shifting as fast as you can. You're already shifting totally. So you can't shift more than you do. You can't shift faster than you do. What you can change is your perception, your experience of the idea, so that you can become aware of the fact that you are shifting totally, shifting instantaneously. That's the whole idea to this exercise, to become aware of the fact that you're already shifting totally, already shifting instantaneously, and you can't go any faster. The way, as we said, to recognize that is to create a parallel reality that is different enough that you notice that you're shifting immediately and totally. So the idea is, as you see that image and you see that version of you there, start from this moment forward, from this day forward. Start being, start behaving, start mimicking that version of you. Because that's what your imagination, that's what your visualization is for, is to create the state. Because if you really, really are having an image in your mind that's representative of your ideal reality, not only will the you, the version of you in that picture, look excited, you'll start to feel excited about that reality. You'll feel that energy now. It will start to leak into you from that image. That's what it's for. That's its job, to put you in the proper state that is representative of the ideal reality, no matter how that reality actually will appear physically.
Resonance and reflective.
Yes, yes. So being guilty means, well, I guess I shouldn't shine, and therefore I'm taking away from others the ability to know that shining is possible. That, if you're going to regret anything or feel guilty about anything, which I'm not saying you have to, that would be the thing to be guilty about, is not shining.
Yeah.
Therefore, the paradox is that to be guilty creates the situation you actually should be guilty about.
Yes.
Not shining. So don't be guilty so you can shine, and if you shine, you'll have nothing to be guilty about, because you will be serving others by shining and letting them know there's another option other than what they have already been experiencing, which is the lack of their own shining. Yes.
And I won't have reflected back to me a sense of jealousy or...
You might. I'm not saying that those people may not project their own issues upon you, but again, remember, what difference does it make what they do? Because you're not basing your state on any outside conditions, are you?
No.
Thank you. So who cares if some people are jealous or project negative ideas upon you? That's their issue. And by being in the state that you need to be in, you will recognize that it's their issue and not yours. Unless, of course, you feel like being convinced that it's your issue. But you're the one creating that state then for yourself again, by being convinced that they're right about you. Oh yeah, you should be guilty about this. Oh yeah. Why? Make sense?
Makes sense. Yes.
All right. Does that help?
That helps tremendously. Thank you.
Anything else?
Regarding the COVID virus, when we hear reports that X amount of cases are reported, can you tell me how many actual, like if one is reported, is it actually like 3 or 4 that actually have it in general?
It can be as high as a factor of 10 times what is reported.
Okay. Thank you so much, Bashar.
It is, once again, our deepest passion and pleasure to interact with each and every one and all of you. We thank you for the co-creation, our unconditional love to you all. Good day.
Good day.
Hi, Bashar. During the DNA alterations from other civilizations, are these done during the fetus time? If so, how are these alterations done?
Many of them are done during fetal periods, but they also may continue for quite some time into childhood and sometimes even into adulthood, depending on what it is that needs to be altered. The idea is that it is done energetically, vibrationally, with certain kinds of energy frequencies that are representative of reformatting the DNA structure, delinking and relinking, and the creation, even sometimes, of new elements that fit into the structure, that are connected to other dimensions and other realms. It is a process that sometimes can be ongoing for quite some time in the life of any particular individual who is participating in the hybridization agenda towards the idea of Earth becoming the sixth hybrid race.
As adults, can we begin to remember parts of the collective from that civilization?
You can remember what is going on in the collective if you let go of the fear and allow yourselves to become more conscious of your choice to participate in the hybridization agenda and ask for the experiences to continue or to be remembered on your own terms, in your own way, so that you may know yourself as a true participant, having chosen to be, then yes, the idea is that you can begin to tap into the knowledge and information that will allow you what you call the memory of what is going on the collective level and even on the individual levels of those who are participating in the hybridization agenda.
Hola, Bashar. I'm Mariana from Colombia. I'm so excited and glad I have the opportunity to ask you a question. And I really wanted to know if you have any special advice for Latin American people and young people during these upcoming years. Thank you.
The advice that we have just given in this transmission and will give in the meditation to anchor in this permission slip of passage through the eye of the needle, now that you are all sequestered in your own places, will be of paramount importance to allow you to center yourselves and strip away those things that won't allow you to pass through the eye of the needle to the other side into a world that is more representative of the kind of reality that you prefer to experience. So the things that we have shared with you this day of the causations of the present circumstance and what you can do to create the balance and restoration of your planet and your energy and your collective consciousness in the way we have described through this particular permission slip exercise will be what is of paramount importance to undertake during this time of sequestering.
Hello, Bashar. I hope you're well. I've thought about this, and I guess the core of what I'm wanting to ask is, how do I get out of the headspace of always thinking that I need to chase the money? And how do I move in to the heart space of, following my heart more decidedly and with less doubt? Thank you very much. That is all. Good day.
Remember, first and foremost, that doubt is simply a 100% trust in a belief you don't prefer, in a belief that is out of alignment with your true self. There's no such thing as a lack of trust. Doubt is not a lack of trust. It is trusting something you don't prefer. But the idea of going more into your heart space with abundance is to form an understanding in a new relationship with the concept of what abundance actually is. As we have defined it, again, it is the ability to do what you need to do when you need to do it. Money is one of the forms of abundance or one of the symbols of abundance and exchange on your planet, but it isn't the only one. Being given a gift is a form of abundance. Having something to trade is a form of abundance. Imagination is a form of abundance, and synchronicity is a form of abundance. So forming a broader relationship with the concept of abundance and allowing all forms to come in when they need to in pure, perfect timing will allow a little bit of this and a little bit of that and a little bit of that to work together to form the 100% abundance that you may need to allow you the ability to continue to act on your passion in life. So to come from the heart, you must relax the mind in understanding that it is more, shall we say, realistic to allow for many forms of abundance to pervade existence and to come through you in any way, shape, or form they need to, rather than closing those doors to prevent other forms of abundance from coming in just because you are so highly focused on needing only one form of abundance, which can often shortchange you because it may not be the form that is actually the path of least resistance for what you need to do.
Hi, Bashar. I was wondering if you could clarify the difference between a relationship where you give your power away to someone else and one where you don't give your power away to someone else. How would we recognize the difference? It seems as if every relationship there's some sort of exchange of energy. Is energy different than how you've defined power? Thank you.
Well, again, most people, when they're honest with themselves, will recognize the difference between true excitement and anxiety. They just have to be honest with themselves. And the phrase, by the way, giving your power away, is not really an accurate description of what's happening. You can never actually give your power away. You can, however, use your power to make yourself feel powerless, to make yourself feel as if you have given your power away. But all you're doing is matching the frequency of what the other person is suggesting that you should do. So if you don't match that frequency, you will not be able to have the experience of using your power to create the experience or the appearance of having given your power away. So the first and foremost thing to understand is power cannot be given away, but you can create the experience as if that's what's happening by simply matching the frequency of something you don't prefer just because it was suggested or offered to you by another person who may be dealing with that issue themselves. It's all based on frequency, all based on vibration of consciousness. And again, there is no actual exchange. There is a harmonizing, a matching, a mirroring of frequencies to have similar experiences at the same time, whether negative or positive. So stop thinking in terms of actually giving something away. Stop thinking in terms of actually literally exchanging energy. You are using your own energy in your own reality and changing the frequency of it to be either more or less similar to the frequency someone else is displaying. That's how those experiences happen in your own reality, is because you are tuning yourselves to the same frequency or a similar enough frequency to someone else to have the same experience, positive or negative, at the same time as the other person. So in that sense, power is energy, energy is power, and it's all based on resonance. It's all based on frequency. It's all based on vibration.
Hello, Bashar. I entered a new parallel reality lately, which is totally different from the ones that I have been living before, so to speak. And I know that it resembles of who I truly am. So now my question is, how can I surrender fully to this control that is already built in this new stream, so fully, so profoundly, that I can totally clearly see myself from the new point of view only? Thank you.
Again, the things that we have described in this particular permission slip, that will allow you to pass through the eye of the needle and come out the other side as more your true self can aid and assist you in this endeavor. So pay attention to the process that we described in the monologue and crystallize it for yourself in the meditation that will accompany this transmission as well. And there will be an upcoming transmission in the near future called the Parallel Reality Wheel that may also act as a permission slip to crystallize this concept for you more clearly.
Hi Bashar, my name is Gabriela, I'm from Canada and I have a few questions for you. My first question is, what's your favorite dish and what's your favorite specific activity?
As you know, I am a first contact specialist, and therefore that is representative of my passion. But other expressions of my passion are as an explorer, as a sculptor, utilizing certain kinds of nanotechnology to create certain forms that are vibrationally and physiologically representative of different flows and vibrations of energy within existence, and allow others, by matching those frequencies, to have different kinds of interactive experiences with other levels of consciousness that I may have encountered in my journey as a first contact specialist. As I have also said, we no longer eat, we no longer sleep. So in that sense, I cannot answer your question of having a favorite dish. If dish is what you meant by food, we no longer eat.
And what's your favorite song?
The vibrations that move me at any given moment, at that moment, are my favorite because they move me in my passion. Whatever that may be. Of course, as we have said, Ethiothani music is a little different than earth music in that it would seem very simplistic to you, based on trinary structures, 3-count formulas, but where you might only hear a simple note, we would hear a symphony because we can hear more chords than you. We can hear more vibrations than you because we are tuned to different dimensional levels of sound, or what may pass for sound in different dimensions. But whatever moves me at any given moment, at that moment is my favorite because it moves me.
My second question is, what is aggression? Can you define it? And how does it help us?
It is a fear-based belief system that has to do with desperation and feeling that you are not going to get what you need unless you assert yourself beyond normal parameters. It is a fear of lack, manifesting itself as a behavior that overwhelms because it is believed that the overwhelm must be expressed in order for the individual to receive what they need, because they do not believe in the automatic power of their natural balance to bring them what they need.
And my last question is a little bit fantastic. I've heard that apparently mermaids are real. So how can I meet one? What would be like the procedure to follow?
The procedure to follow to meet what you call a mermaid would be that you would have to transition to another dimension where they actually exist. Because even though now and then one of them may come through a portal into your reality, they do not live in your reality, and therefore they are not something that you can automatically find anywhere you go. You would have to transition into their dimension of reality, and we will not discuss exactly, precisely how to do that yet. There may be some information to this regard in the upcoming transmission called the Parallel Reality Wheel, but that is not something we will address in specific terms at this particular moment.
Hello, Tadeo.
And good day, Nania.
We have some questions from our streaming viewers that we'd like to ask you.
All right. Please proceed, however you so desire.
Well, many people are experiencing anxiety about 4 main things.
Yes.
First is the fear of their own death. The second is uncertainty about the future and financial uncertainty. The third is fear that things will get even crazier and worse in the world. And fourth, that conspiracy theories about why this is happening are also a fear that comes up for people. So how can we respond to these fears? What should we tell ourselves when these fears come up? What do you suggest?
All right. Well, first and foremost, let us deal with the fourth proposition of what you call the conspiracy theories. The main thing going on with regard to the present situation on your planet has mostly to do, not so much with anything that has been done deliberately, specifically with regard to the virus itself, but with regard to the destruction, as we have said in the monologue, of many of the different ecological systems on your planet. If there is any so-called conspiracy, it is mostly the idea that people on your planet, from fear-based beliefs and from fear of lack and from the idea of what they believe to be power that is not an expression of power, will conspire to do certain things that have destructive qualities that will eliminate many of the ecological systems on your planet, and have done so, in which these viruses propagate, and by which they are usually contained, at least to a certain degree. But the conspiracies of greed that create the disappearance of certain systems on your planet that these viruses inhabit forces them to go beyond those borders and beyond those barriers in a far greater way than they otherwise would have, seeking out new hosts. The virus is a natural virus. It has, over time, mutated in a variety of ways, but it is not in that sense human-made. So the conspiracy doesn't have to do with the idea of a deliberate release of a man-made virus. It has to do with the idea of the conspiracies that exist in many of your organizations, many of your political and social systems that allow fear of lack and greed to overtake your better nature and cause the destruction of many of the ecosystems on your planet that then allow for the propagation of opportunistic organisms such as this virus to take hold in much broader areas than they otherwise would. This has to do also with the concept of what you call climate change. That is also a side effect of the destruction of certain ecological systems on your planet, on land, in the air, in the sea. And you will find that many of the plants that still remain on your planet are now going to be, in a sense, migrating through seed propagation in different directions than they otherwise normally inhabit.